hit the hit the thing. So thank you for joining us this afternoon for one of our North Shore Living Town Hall meetings. I'd like to thank everybody for participating and introduce our staff people that'll be interacting on the meeting today. And Robert McGregor, our director of nursing, and everybody knows him. Mary Tank, who is our interim assistant director of nursing, and Lisa Bloomquist. Let's see if I can talk without jumping out. And she's our activities, kind of make sure everybody's doing wonderful things. And the person that's going to first start with presenting, Jason Uhas, is our infection control, corporate integrity, and corporate quality improvement coordinator. I think I got them all. He wears a lot of hats. And so he's kind of joining us today to talk about COVID-19, because we have spent, I want everybody to realize, we have spent 3 years now dealing with COVID. And I went back and looked, and it was in mid-March of 2020 that we had our very first incident command meeting about COVID. And so we still are talking about it. It still is a topic, but things have changed a lot, and things are going to yet continue to evolve and change. And so Jason's going to share some information about that. So Jason, please.
All right, I got to press a bunch of buttons to make sure I can share screens and stuff like that. So please be patient with me. All right, you should be able to see my screen now, and I'm going to share it in presentation mode for at least part of it. So this is the infection control portion of our care center town hall for North Shore Living for, of course, February 28th, 2023. And to introduce myself, my name is Jason Uhas. I serve, again, like Kimber had said, as the infection control, quality improvement, and corporate integrity. Luckily, I have a pretty big head, so I can wear all those hats. I always want to let people know that feel free to call me. My desk number is 218-412-1539, or email me. Of course, that's jason.uhas@northshorehealthgm.org at any time if you have any questions or concerns about infection control in the care center. And of course, if I don't know the answer, I will, of course, try to find someone, or I will find someone who certainly does know. So, COVID-19 update. As Kimber said, we are 3 years into this, and I wanted to share 2 important map levels that the CDC offers and shows to us. One is the community levels, and that is where all those nice green counties are there. And this gives us continual hope that in the community levels, we do not have high enough levels of COVID-19 to register as an orange or a red color. However, the CDC and CMS often uses, and always uses actually, the community transmission levels. And those community transmission levels are what mandate how we need to mask and how we need to protect our residents living in the care center. So I'm going to show this one here, and then I'm going to actually exit out. This, I'm going to show a brief little video here. And hopefully I can get it to show here. This is starting February 1st of this year. And here's the legend here. So in red is high levels of community transmission. Orange is substantial levels of community transmission. Moderate is yellow, and low is blue. So you'll see starting out in February, we were at this substantial level. And it doesn't go every day. It sometimes skips around a little bit, depending on when the CDC gets information on COVID-19 numbers. So it's going to gather information, even though I downloaded all these maps already. This is where I need someone to hum the Jeopardy theme song. So give it a second here. There. Thank you, Robert. And you will see it's actually going to jump me to January, but that's okay. You can see that we were in substantial levels in January. And then look at that, mid-January, we were in high transmission levels. So we, of course, need to always wear masks and take the most precautions. And it was in high up until it dropped back down the end of January. Remember, still substantial, so still elevated. February jumped back up to high for a little bit. And then came back down to substantial here in, let me see, the 9th. And since the 9th, we have been on a steady decline as far as the transmission levels, which is good signs for us. That may mean we can relax some of our restrictions, at least on the hospital side. But remember, with our residents, we will always maintain the highest level of precautions with COVID-19. So that's where we stand as of now. So I'm going to run this back up again. So as you can see, our transmission levels are looking good, but things may change, and things have changed in the past. So we always have to stay cautious. As I just said too, we will always protect our residents to the highest extent possible by using masking and sanitary practices like good hand washing, universal precautions, etc. And as you guys may have heard on the news, May 11th, we may see a reduction in the pandemic status down to an endemic or something similar. So the rules may change at that time too. So stay tuned for that. But of course, the rules may again change anytime between then and now.
Yeah.
So, a few care center updates. A few updates since the last town hall we had. Resident families may enjoy a meal unmasked in the patient rooms as long as there's no active COVID symptoms in visitors. They have permission from the resident to do so, and that food and drink must be carried in sealed containers. And we're also returning to group served meals in the Woods household, and Maurice will give us an update on that as we get to her turn. You guys may have also seen an email come through about a recent COVID-19 exposure. We do know very few residents were involved, and that the employee was masked appropriately. The affected residents will be tested for COVID Monday of this week, Wednesday of this week, and Friday of this week per CDC and CMS guidelines and rules. And further updates can be provided by Kimber or the North Shore Living email account. So questions can be brought up with Kimber as far as how that goes too. All right, as far as infection control, do we have any questions or concerns? All right. Everyone's either muted or perfectly happy with what I presented. I'll take the latter of the two. As always, if you have any questions at all, feel free to call, feel free to email me, and I can send that out. Kimber, send that information out via email too. So thank you all.
And also just as a reminder, every, either Friday or Saturday, we do send out an email that does kind of have that update. And I always kind of highlight the status of whether we're orange or yellow. And, I think if people may have remembered back in December, we were blue for a very short period of time, and I was almost doing backflips, which is kind of pretty amazing because I was kind of happy to have that. So, we're kind of looking forward to having a change. So next on our agenda, Lisa Bloomquist is going to talk about activities and what's happening there.
Hello, everybody. So, first off, we have a bird aviary that Anne Deneen, who is online, has been taking care of for us. It's been a real challenge for activities because it's like you have to do stuff with them little buggers like practically every day. Anyways, we have babies for sale. Got a picture of them up on my camera. $20 a piece if anybody's interested in young finch. There was a company that was taking care of the birds for us every 3 months. They would do a deep clean and take all the babies back with them. But now the company has pulled out. So we were in charge of the total aviary. So we have babies to get rid of, and just thought that we would make some money to give back for the seeds and feed and whatever. And make a little bit of money for activities. So that is one thing. And then we were working on getting this Do-It bicycle. Brian Bakovich had been down to see her grandma in the cities, and they had one of these, and she thought this was awesome. So she brought it back to me, and we started working on fundraisers for that. And we got a huge donation of $9,000. This bike cost $10,700 because it's fancy and it's electric, and residents are able to hook up in the front, and this is a wheelchair that's hooked to the bike, and residents can sit in right here, and then the person is behind them that pedals, and it has a motor so you can get up hills and whatnot. And so we're excited about that. I'm working on a policy so that it's safe for the residents, and that staff can get out and have some fresh air, and I think it'll be great for everybody. And then the last newspaper article I wrote, I asked for bread machines, and so far 4 people have either brought them in or whatnot, so we actually can start a bakery if we want to. Anyways, sort of kidding on that, but it's great, and I'm just going to pick the best ones and bring the other ones to odds and ends. But I just think it's great that, I mean, it encourages me that I know people are reading the newspaper, the activity section, you know, what the residents are doing, and trying to help us out. So that is fun. And then we're doing Fun in the Sun for the week of March 13th to the 17th. We have activities going on, and this is something that I found on a Facebook activity site. Can you see it? Anyway, so Maurice and Renee have been collecting cardboard for me. We're going to make bikinis. We're going to do the painting of them a couple of days, like the 13th and the 10th of March, and then 17th we're having a parade. So anybody's like got time or whatever, come on out and check out our bikini parade. And we're doing other things like playing Beach Boy music and throughout the week, and it's going to be pretty much fun. I think we're painting some rocks. I collected them back in about September. We're going to paint them to put out on the patio, and so that's something fun that they can do. It's like people that think they're not crafty can just come and put color on a rock, and so it'd be pretty out in the secure patio area for them to see their display. What else do I have? Oh, and then the Portage Band has been coming, and residents been loving it, and it's the highest activity as far as residents related. We had 17 out of the 26 come to the last one for sure, because I was at that one. And I see anyways, it's something that they enjoy, and they talk about it for days after, and they get their lipstick on, and you know, this is their outing. And so it's just been a great thing for the Portage Band to come in, so we appreciate them. So the next one is on the 24th. They had a switch weeks. It's going to be the 3rd Friday of every month, but this week they had a switch, so it'll be the 24th of this month. Anyways, I have the March calendars out right as you enter the care center. If you'd like me to email you one, I can do that also. Otherwise, yeah, grab and pick one up. So thank you. That's all I got.
Well, thank you, Lisa. And you know, we always send good thoughts to the person that that gave, you know, such a wonderful anonymous donation. There's no way we can figure out who did that, but we're definitely glad that it's an electric bike, because I was like, I'm not so sure that I was not volunteering to be riding up those hills. I was like, I'd be game to try this, but not going up the hill, you know. So we get a little bit of electric, but I think this will be a great opportunity for people to again feel the wind in their hair, and being able to enjoy some things that maybe people used to enjoy back when they were younger and kids. And I have to say that it absolutely is beyond fun to have the Portage Band back, and to see the smiling faces and people that join right along singing. I was like, just singing with them up the storm, and had, you know, yeah, getting the lipstick on and you know, going out for their outing. It is totally fun to see that back again, and that's kind of what makes me glad to see that, you know, those as those numbers go down and we stay in that green, oh, see, you know, I just, you know, that piece, it kind of just, it warms my heart to see everybody that enjoys that. And I think we're all kind of in that, they're definitely in that era, because I'm even kind of in that era of the old time country that the Portage Band actually plays. So, you know, I kind of remember back when they were original songs, not, you know, the old time country for that. So we will move on now to our quality of life survey, and Mary Tank is going to talk about that.
So on March 14th and 15th, a company called Vital Research has contracted with the Department of Human Services in Minnesota to do the quality of life evaluation and surveys. Helia will be here to help on those 2 days. I believe they said she will be coming in to help because she has in the past. Technically, what it is just asking questions. I believe the family gets the questionnaires mailed out also by the Vital Research people. So you may be seeing that come through. Please fill it out. Please send it back in. They ask questions such as, you know, how often do you visit the resident? And then they ask you about the resident's room and the care of the resident and the look of the facility and just different things like that. So I did a little research on it myself just to see, and they give us grades on it. The average the Minnesota average for facilities, we're pretty much right on there, if not better, in the family satisfaction, state inspection, hours of direct care, staff retention, and proportion of beds in single rooms. So again, if we can just get everyone that gets one of those little questionnaires to answer them and get them sent back out, that would be great. Any questions?
Thank you, Mary. And next, Robert's going to talk about the care center revamp. Robert.
Yes, so as you guys probably know, in December we moved quite a few residents around to different households. This was to basically have one household with the people who needed more help, and then one household with the people needed less, and so we could work not just harder but smarter and help with the staffing and quality of life. And well, it seems so far it seems to be doing good. Obviously you guys have got some experience of noticing the change when you visit your loved one, so that has helped. Our staffing is a little bit better, so we have started admitting some new residents. We've admitted 3 so far in the last month or so. We have to have obviously enough staff to look after the number of residents, but obviously we want to have residents here, admit residents, as to help the community, help families out who need the service, and help for our economic viability. So it's a balancing act. So, but so far the revamp seems to be going well. As I say, you notice the change. One household has got a lot more activity, a lot more staff, and the other household seems to be quieter, but it seems to work. Staff are getting used to the new model, which seems to work well. And so we're just trying to meet the needs of the residents. I mean, the revamp, the moving the residents, we've finished that process. The only issue with getting other residents, we might get new admissions, or if a resident's condition changes, that might mean we might want to move the household for them. So if somebody needs more help, you might want to move them to a different household, say, for instance. As I say, so far it seems to be going well. We will try and admit more residents when we can. And it obviously depends on staffing. So we have a waiting list, which we're looking at. We've probably gone through about half the waiting list we've had. I mean, some people, it's been a little bit of time since we've admitted people. Some people have circumstances changed, but we are getting, at least we started down the waiting list, which is a good thing. I just want to say also that so far, touch wood, none of our residents have been tested positive for COVID. And even though several of the staff have, fortunately, they've taken precautions. I know it's a balancing act between keeping a resident safe and letting people in for quality of life, but we're just trying to do the best and have a good compromise. I want to thank everybody, all the family members, for taking care and for looking after not only their residents, for everybody else's loved ones as well. So thank you. And I thank the staff for putting up with masks and goggles and everything when they had to. So, any questions for me? Yes.
I just wanted to pick up a moment about, you're talking about staffing
Yes.
levels and with, with the workforce shortage issue. How do you feel, or how's it going in terms of nursing and aid staffing and so forth?
I'd say it's a little better than it was a few months ago. Hence we've been able to get, have some missions, and especially with the rearrangements, will work smarter instead of harder. So that's helped with staffing. We do have a nursing assistant training program set up, ready to go for anybody in the community or outside the community who wants to train as a nursing assistant, and we are able to do the test up here as well to set that up. We do have we employ agency staff when we can. There again, it's not easy to get agency staff, but we do employ agency staff, nurses or nursing assistants. Our real challenge is to get nursing assistants. I mean, we do have nurses on occasion working as nursing assistants, as you probably notice, and and they do a good job. But obviously, we want to not only provide a good service, but run it efficiently and with an eye to costs as well. So, like everywhere, as you said, staffing is an issue. I mean, I think most or a lot of long-term care facilities in Minnesota aren't taking new admissions, or they're cut back on the amount of people they can have. So it's certainly certainly an issue all over the state and all over the country, especially in healthcare, especially in long-term care, because you obviously have to have qualified people. You can't get people who are just ready to go off the street, and obviously you have to go through background checks as well. And it's not as like any job, it's not a job for everybody who wants to do. And like any job, it's always tougher from the inside than it looks like from the outside. But I think we have lucky that we have a lot of good staff, a lot of people who have worked here for a long time, which I take as a compliment that, this is hopefully a good place to work. And I think the nice thing about long-term care is people get to know them not just as a patient, but almost like a friend or a family member, and they get to know them not just as some condition or some disease, but as, put in the name of your loved one. So we're still working on staffing. We're advertising for recruiting staffing. We've got the training programs in place. We're using agency staff. Some of our agency staff eventually decide to stay to work here, which is a good thing. And we do manage to, for the most part, tend to keep our staff. So we're still looking to, get more staff so we can, fill up.
So I'm going to I'll jump into that from an advocacy perspective. So, as Robert had indicated, there was recently a information that was kind of put together that over 11,000 seniors were denied access in 1 month to long-term care services. So organizations were contacted about admissions, and 11,000 times they were turned away. And that's kind of hard. And that's information that the legislators are hearing. And so there's a couple of legislative solutions. And so I'm throwing that out so that if you have the opportunity to advocate on behalf of that. And to me, there are two that are major. The first one is pay the caregivers the wages they deserve. Okay, that has been something that has been promoted. That was something that was included in the last legislative session and didn't get past the threshold. Currently, it's in Senate File 780. There was a legislative hearing on that yesterday, and I listened to that. And I am pleased to report that Senator Hochschild, who's the legislator from our area, did sign on to that bill. So I don't have to twist his arm too much about it, but I still twist his arm on that. But it's really looking at saying, hey, you know, we need wages for our direct caregivers that encourage them to join these positions, to be able to be living wages. And so that piece is important. And then the other one is reducing the payment delay, because in long-term care, even if we increase costs, we don't actually see the reimbursement for another 21 months. So those are pieces that we're looking at. But if you have the opportunity to advocate on behalf of you know, long-term care and you know, healthcare in particular, I would encourage you to do so and talk about the importance of this, because there are facilities that are really at the tipping point of not being in existence, and that's going to make the situation even worse. We're saying right now that throughout the entire senior service sector, there are 20% of the jobs are still open. You know, so there's 20% vacancy rate in senior service sector. So that's a big deal. And you know, it impacts like our ability to take people. It impacts the ability for us to find other places for people to be able to be cared for. So again, I put my plug in for you know, again, continued advocacy. Representative Senator Hochschild, I said he kind of agrees with that, but I was listening to a meeting, and the chair of the committee, Senator Hoffman, and the ranking minority member, Senator Abler, they're like, yeah, they want to hear the talking heads of people like me, but they really care about hearing from residents and family members, because you're the ones that are very much impacted. And so it's important to them to be able to hear from your perspective. They expect to hear from me, and they want to hear from me. So Senator Hochschild and Representative Scarba are two that just to make sure that they know this is important, they hear it. And quite frankly, if you have the opportunity, the governor has kind of, in my estimation, abandoned senior services. So the more he hears from people that this is a need out there, would be good for him to hear. So I have put my plug in. Sorry, I had to put my plug in for that. Other questions for Robert about the revamp or any other changes of that?
So I just want to say that we're advertising for staff, and we've got a sign on bonuses for staff. So certainly, one of the big issues is housing for people. As you know, Pramaray is an expensive housing market. And so one way is that if people are already living here, that certainly helps with the housing. So any other questions?
I have a question back to the legislative action for Kimber when you're done.
Yep, I'm done. So
Kimber, so you said it was Senate File 780?
Correct.
Okay, is there a companion bill in the House yet?
There's a companion bill. I don't have that off the top of my head because the Senate is taking the lead on this.
Okay.
So
Do you happen to know who the author was for 780?
Senator Hoffman.
Okay.
Chair. So
Oh.
that's a good thing, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then my other question real quick is who do you contact regarding the reduced payment delay? Who do you recommend?
Who do I recommend? And again, that goes, there's a bill in that. It's a separate bill, and I'm sorry, I don't have that one off the top of my head. And again, just the continued, to our senator, because they're the ones that care, but you know, you might have some relationships with people down in the metro, but, Senator Hoffman and Senator Abler are the two, co-authors for, Senate File 780. And
Okay.
then Senator Hochschild actually signed on because I looked. He told me he did, and I looked, and he did. So we give him that piece. And so there's just a whole lot of advocacy that there's that. One of the things that I can do is Leading Age Minnesota has kind of put out a kind of an advocacy alert where I could send you a little what are they, a code reader kind of thing, one of the little squares where you can take a picture and you can sign in, and it will send information, it will send a letter to whatever address you put to your senator and your representative and to the governor as well. So if people are interested in doing that or willing to do that, I would like to go ahead and send that out to you to be able to use that as a way to access one, the information, and two, to be able to contact your representative and senator, your legislator.
I would love a copy of that. Is there anything specific you would want in a Walls letter? Anything specifically directed information or request information?
What I would really request is that senior services is important, and I would ask that he would address it because I think he has failed to do so. But again, my piece, and I've said this in my, but really the two pieces that I think are most important to hear is that the caregiver wage bill and the payment delay. You know, those are significant. And those are just significant to nurture health, but I think they're significant to the senior service sector in whole.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you for your interest, because I definitely think that's really important. Sorry, the radio's tripping behind me. Okay, so is there other questions on legislation or other questions on the revamp? If not, okay. Then finally, Maurice is going to talk about dietary. Maurice.
Hello, everybody. So we are super excited that we got the green light to start serving in the care center again. We were doing that all the time pre-COVID, and then when that all happened, we got told we have to pull out and can't be in the kitchen or down in their dining rooms anymore. So we've been serving out of the main kitchen. So we started this with the lunch first. So this has been going on since Friday the 17th. And the goal is to try to get as many residents out to the dining room as we possibly can. Obviously, we are still having some that eat in their rooms, and that's not going to change, and we understand that, and that's fine. But it's been really fun, and it's been exciting to see this. It's been a little bit of a work in progress, obviously. When we're doing something new, it's always a few days or times, you know, to get the flow of everything going. But one of the things that I noticed right away is just having the smell of the food down there. It was like, oh, it smells like lunch. So that was really exciting. So we're also trying to do the dishes down in the care center too. So kind of what we were doing, but a little bit better, I'm hoping. And then once my staff is feeling pretty comfortable about this, then we'll shift and, you know, add supper, and then we will also add breakfast. So it's a work in progress, but we're really excited about it. It is a team effort on many, you know, it's dietary and housekeeping is working with us, and so are the aides and the nursing staff. So that's kind of fun too. And like I said, it's just been exciting for me and my staff to see all this. So do you guys have any questions about any of that? No? Okay. all I
Thank you.
have.
It's exciting to be able to be going back to some new normal or normalcy of and having to having the benefit of enjoying some of the stuff that we had in place pre-COVID. So now we'll open it up and be happy to answer any questions anybody has. I didn't see any questions. I don't. Okay. Yeah, it's chirping at me. Again, thank you. If there are no other questions, other comments, always encourage you if you have questions, if you need something, reach out, call for any of us, email, kind of what works. Some of us are emailers and some of us are callers, and we can make that all happen. If you have questions, we're happy to try to address them. If you have ideas and thoughts, particularly on activities, you know, this always takes those. And we very much greatly appreciate your involvement and your support. And I will be sending via North Shore Living some of that information on advocacy so that you can join us in that process. So thank you.